Another vintage review for you, and we have the amazing Toy Biz Fantastic Four collection to look at. We're going to make this a 6-part series here because there were, 6 series or 6 waves of these. 5, I think, in actuality, and then there's the vehicles in Galactus. So we're going to break this up. We might not be able to do it sequentially because there's a lot of new toys coming out. We don't want to, not paying attention to those. But when we have some downtime, we're going to be showing you these waves, so keep checking back. You might recognize this card back because Hasbro is releasing Marvel Legends figures right now with this card back. This really awesome throwback card with this little sparkly 4 that went around the emblem there. These are part of the Marvel Action Hour, which was Fantastic Four and Iron Man airing back to back. From 94 to I think 96, this cartoon aired. A lot of these figures are the first time they were ever made in a Marvel line. Before the 80s Mattel collection, Marvel action figures didn't exist. So what you see over my shoulder there, Doctor Doom, was the first Doctor Doom ever made. Then there was one made in the amazing 90s Marvel Superheroes toy line. And then this one right here. So this will be the 3rd Doctor Doom ever made. So we'll be going over those Marvel superheroes, which a lot of them were the first time those figures were ever made. We'll be going over that in the future. But for now, we're going to focus on this awesome line in its entirety. This is the first wave, or the first series, as you can see on the back of the card here, all the figures pictured. Now, what didn't make the cut, but was still produced in 94, are going to be the rest of the core 4, as I like to call them, and that is Invisible Woman and Human Torch. Don't know why that these didn't make the cut, but these were produced in 94. The image or the stamp on the back says 94. These were not on that image, as you see, but they were too important to not include in the first wave of Fantastic Four figures, right? So at any rate, they were included there. You'll see them come back again in Series 2 or Wave 2 that did feature other versions of these characters. Of course, there'd be an Invisible Woman in that wave, and then a Human Torch that has spark action. We'll check that out. I know these are all in their original package. These are all vintage figures, and yes, we are going to be opening them. We are an opener channel. We want to celebrate the toys and not just show off a toy collection. We're going to be checking them out and doing a little mini review here, although they're vintage. You can't really get them anymore. Surprisingly, a lot of these are not that expensive. I think we, on average, paid $8 to $9 per figure. And I think the original retail price of these were around $6 a figure, $5 to $6. So they have not appreciated in value a whole lot, which is a shame because these are amazing, amazing figures. And we are celebrating them right now with Marvel Legends characters that basically look exactly the same. So yeah, so we'll be opening these and checking them out. We'll be going through them really quick because I know we get a lot here and I like to try to keep these tight. So why don't you just come on in? We'll start going through this menagerie of characters. This line is called the Fantastic Four. We are going to start with the Core 4, as I like to call them. So we have Reed Richards himself right here. He comes with some kind of harness. I think you're just supposed to throw this over him to make an accessory because, otherwise it's kind of boring to have no accessory. But this figure is pretty cool. I mean, he stretches, kind of like a Stretch Armstrong character. The original Reed Richards, which we'll go into it when we did the Marvel Superheroes line, his joints just kind of elongated here. They had little pegs in between them, so you could stretch out all his joints in his head and his torso. But this one just has stretchy arms. These are the only things that stretch on, and the legs do not stretch. So kind of a very limited aspect to that. It was the only Reed Richards in the line. And I think basically you just kind of put this... I think it goes this way, or yeah, I think it goes this way over him. Now the arms don't even articulate because they're stretchy, so you could give him this little backpack thing, which is kind of sad. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm not even sure how this is supposed to work with these little pegs on here. But I guess it makes a belt and goes all the way around like this or something like that. And that's what it looks like. But not a big fan of it. I mean, he doesn't need an accessory. He's Mr. Fantastic. So they have limited stretch to him, but that is it. I mean, he's got bending legs here, and that is really it. That was your Mr. Fantastic in the line. After that, we got Invisible Woman. Now, like I was saying, they kind of added her to the line as an afterthought. They're like, hey, maybe we should have the Core 4 there. So she wasn't on the original artwork. Now, this version of Sue Storm does not turn invisible. Go figure, right? This version just has a, what's called a shield. She could, I guess she could, yeah, she could drop her arms with this touch of this button here. But that's really it. She could hold the shield in place. I'm not really sure how it's even supposed to stay on her. and then she could ride on this platform here. This is kind of similar to the original one from the Marvel Superheroes line. That one had a platform, but it was more like a launching catapult platform. It was not a rolling platform. I don't know why they decided to give Sue those kinds of accessories. But that's what they end up doing. This one, I guess you could put her hand in there. There we go. And that's her invisible sort of platform that she has. But that is basically it for Sue. The head does not articulate. It's molded on there. This is not the only Sue we get. Like I said, we're going to get an invisible Sue in the next wave, which is different than the original one. You'll see us get to. They had one that was color changing that kind of faded to clear, but not really. It was more of like a cream. That is your Sue. Her legs do articulate, so we'll see her get in the Fantastic Car. Yes, we are going to be reviewing the Fantastic Car. We'll be getting to that along with the other vehicles in this line as well. Next up, we got the Human Torch. Now, this variant of the Human Torch is a little different than the next one you see in that he glows. His whole body does not glow, just his little spots, as you can see in this image right here. You'll see the little spots glow after we charge them. So that is the little gimmick they gave with the first release of the Human Torch. The second release you'll see has something a little different to him. He came with that catapult that was originally from Cannonball. So if you go back and watch our video on Cannonball in our Marvel Uncanny X-Men line, you'll see that release, and that got a lot of use. They brought it back several times. It came with the 90s figures as well. But this one has bending knees and, oddly enough, articulating feet that we don't see in any of the other characters at this point. So a nice extra point of articulation there. His arms articulate laterally instead of bending at the elbow. They go left and right here. No articulation in the wrist. This one does bend at the elbow. So kind of an odd articulation, but it kind of makes like the fire throw pose. But yeah, it's basically his fun feature is he lights up when you expose him to light and just his little flames on his body. So that was the first Human Torch you got. And the end of the 4 here, we have our old buddy Thing. Thing has just got some clobber action. I kind of like this Thing a little more than the first Thing we get ever in that Marvel Superheroes line. He's a little bulkier. He looks like the cartoon version, very, very much so. And I'm going to bend his arms because he has clobber in action. He could do this where he sort of pounds on something. So that is our Thing. And he has a great likeness for that cartoon version. So I really like that. He's a little bulkier, boxier, his knees bend. So this is going to help him get into the Fantastic Car as well. And there are multiple Things. He was like Wolverine in this line. You remember we had 7 or 8 Wolverines. We're going to have at least 3 Things in this line. We'll get to the other Things later on. All right, some of the other supporting cast in this line. We got Black Bolt from the Inhumans. Now there are going to be other Inhumans in this. We get most of the royal family were released in this line. I don't think he came until the 2nd season of Fantastic Four, but they had him in the first line. So I guess they planned ahead. They knew what characters they were going to make come the rest of the seasons, and they only had 2 seasons. And he basically can have his flight ability, and I'm not sure how to release these. Oh, his belt, it says. Here we go. Yep. So sort of similar to Banshee, except his lock into place, and you could release them with this button there. He has his little bolt, which was the source of his power in the show. He doesn't make any screaming sound. That would have made sense, right? They could have added the same apparatus from Banshee, no retooling needed from Toy Biz here, and you could have blew through that and made the screech sound to make him mimic his power. His head articulates, his arms bend here, so he can throw punches, because he mostly just did karate in the show. His legs are fully articulated here, for the most part. I mean, a lot of articulation. Keep in mind, this is 1994, so these figures aren't super advanced, but this is pretty advanced for 94, I want to say, compared to other toy lines that we have seen. Next up, we have one of the villains. We have Moleman. Now, Moleman comes with one of his supporting guys, and I kind of feel like these guys were a little bit bigger than this one here. He comes with his staff that we've seen him use, and Moleman was only in 1 episode, as I recall, and he never resurfaced. I'm sure they had more plans for Moleman, but he sort of met the end of his run in that 1 episode. Basically, you just give him his little wand here, and you push this button, and he twirls it. I think you're supposed to wrap it around it here, and then Yep, he does a little twirl. So that's Moleman. That's a pretty cool and fun feature. He has limited articulation here. His legs just move. His cape is actually a soft rubbery plastic, and it comes off. So if you wanted to get him into a vehicle, you can, but he doesn't really have any vehicles to go with. But he does have one of these little guys. It would have been cool if they threw 2 or 3 of them in the pack, just so you have a couple more. But they were a little bit taller. I want to say they were about this tall compared to the Fantastic Four when they were fighting them. But still cool that you get a little minion to go along with the guy, because you don't often see bad guys in these collections with any of their supporting, supporting forces. Now we have Terax. Now Terax actually made his first appearance in the first season as one of the backup heralds of Galactus. It was him and Firelord. They were both on Galactus's ship. They fought the Fantastic Four, but the main herald was still the Silver Surfer at that point. Of course, he became the herald in subsequent episodes, and he made a lot of appearances on season 2, even when he made his power grab to try to defeat Galactus. So we have him here. We're going to have Firelord, but he's not going to be until a future wave here. Maybe he's wave 2, I'm not sure. And he only made one appearance, I think, on just the first episode that Galactus was on. So here we go. He sits in his little rock, which his little rock does have some canonical significance. It will be in the show. So you pull it back, and I'm sure it does better than this. Here we go. For some reason, this table does not like to work with these pullbacks. There we go. Here he's moving. So he does have his floating boulder, and it's pretty cool. It's got a lot of indentations on it. It looks like a nice little moon rock or something. He's got these flaps here on the front. He looks exactly like the cartoon counterpart. So I want to say for 94, this is amazing. I mean, they did a great job on this. Toy Biz did a really nice job. A lot of articulation, full articulation on this guy. For 94, I want to say, not like modern full articulation. So pretty good job. They had multiple points of articulation. They had accessories that were relevant to the show. I mean, nobody so far came with any, accessories that were just thrown in there for the heck of it. Maybe that harness. I can't remember if that was on an episode or not, but everything else done really well to the show. Okay, continuing on our villains. We have Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom, multiple episodes, including repeating some storylines where he stole the Silver Surfer's powers. That happened in 2 episodes. Very odd. I feel like it was the end of the first season and the end of the second season. He did the same thing. I don't know if the writers were lazy or what, but he kept stealing the power cosmic from Silver Surfer. He didn't even try to go after anybody else. So he has a gun here. That's kind of his main thing. Try to get this in his hand, which is fun because the original Dr. Doom from Mattel came with a gun too. That's all he had, was guns. So he has this nice gun, and then he has this hand that kind of extends. There we go. And shoots outward toward people. His cape, I think, is removable. Yep. So you could have a removable cape look. He has that awesome face. Well, you can see his eyes are individually painted back there. Bendable knees, bendable waist, bendable everything there. Very, very nice job on this Dr. Doom. To date, this is probably one of the better Dooms. We'll show you the other Doom from the Toy Biz line. And, when I do that one, I'll show you the other Doom from the Mattel line as well at the time. But this is a very nice Dr. Doom. He looks exactly like he does in the show again. They did a really great job with this line of mimicking the characters as they had their on-screen appearance. This is a fun little throw out with the arm there, but that is your Dr. Doom, and he made multiple appearances but only got 1 figure. He didn't really change much, so I think that this 1 figure kind of did everything they needed with him. So very fun that they included. He might be one of the more expensive ones that I had to track down. I think he was like $25 compared to the other one, so he's still holding his value, or exceeding the value, whereas everyone else is pretty much what you pay for. All right, we're going to end this with the Silver Surfer. This is the 3rd version of the Silver Surfer. We got 2 from Toy Biz in the Marvel superhero line, 1 shiny, 1 not. So this is in this vacuum form or whatever this is, this metallized look. And if you pay attention to the body, it might look incredibly familiar. So we have this hand that moves here, left and right. And then we have this hand that bends here at the elbow. I'm going very slow because these are very brittle, and I'm just opening them out of package for the first time, so I don't want to break anything as we get this a little loose here. The head articulates, the legs move a little bit. They probably move more. They're just getting into their throws here. And yeah, this is the Human Torch body. And it even has the ankles that I was talking about. So what they basically did here, Toy Biz, is they came up with their Silver Surfer figure, and they're like, hey, we didn't release a Human Torch. Let's just take the same tooling, the same mold, boom, we'll make it a different paint job and we'll make it glow. And that is how they got their Human Torch figure. So same figure here, but now we got our Silver Surfer. So Silver Surfer, of course, comes with his surfboard. We'll get him in here, and he has 2 secure feet. You're going to have to, I guess, bend this leg a little bit as you put him forward. And we'll bend this leg as we slip it in there. And then we have our 2 feet, and we'll get them in here. This is why they made them angular. Because you have to get them in at the right angle to fit into this surfboard, and that makes sense now why they made the feet individually, allowing them to sort of like bend. 100%, this makes sense now, because you have to angle them into the surfboard. So yeah, this is not easy, is it? So I will try to play around with this for a minute, but basically, there we go. I don't know how hard the other ones were because I haven't opened those yet. So we'll be checking them out, and we'll be able to compare it to this one that came out later. But the feet just don't, like, this is very difficult. The feet just don't want to angle this way. But to get them onto the board, you have to do that any way you can just to get it to work. Maybe you just get one foot in there and tuck in the other one, and then you got to get ready to go. So he's got a ring on the bottom there, so you could wear it like this and kind of maneuver him around on his little surfboard. Let's see if you get this ring off if you wanted to lay the board flat. I think you might be able to. Yep, there we go. So now I could lay the board flat as well. So you have the option of doing it either way, which I really like that they did that. It just gives you a little extra displayability, playability to where it is a ring as well. But that is your look at the Silver Surfer, and that completes our look at this great line. As you can see, it was a nice mixture of heroes and villains in this first line. So we got our core 4, of course, and then we got some super important villains like Dr. Doom. We have supporting villains like Terax, one-off villains like Moleman, villain turned hero, or just misunderstood, like Black Bolt. And then, of course, we had Mr. Fantastic, and then we had Sue Storm over here. So that is your look at this whole first wave of the Fantastic Four. All right, there we go. That was really fun. These are awesome. Bummed I missed out on these when I was a kid. I had the Marvel Superheroes line. I had the X-Men line. Guess it was just too much to focus on. I had Turtles. I had Ghostbusters. I had Masters. I had Thundercats, Silverhawks. Like, I just had too many toys. My parents didn't buy me these. I got them now. So they are really cool. I'm glad to be adding them to my collection. I mean, almost perfect. The only thing I didn't like is how difficult it is to get the Silver Surfer into his skateboard. He's just not meant there. I'll play around with him, but I think if they would have kept the feet straight instead of tilting them on an angle, it would have been easier because the feet aren't meant to be tilted. You could probably bend them in the knees, and I'll play around with it, but it wasn't the perfect design. We'll compare it to the other Silver Surfers when we get to that Marvel Superheroes line. But that is it for Series 1 of the Fantastic Four line. We'll be checking out Series 2 the next time we do a Fantastic Four segment. We're going to have other things to explore in between. It's just a period where so many new toys are coming out. We want to share those with you as soon as they are released. We're also wrapping up our Halloween segments. We'll be doing a Ghostbusters segment on Thursday with a little surprise review of a just released product, so I'll be checking that one out as well. And we'll have other products, as we just found out that the 2 in a Box is shipping in November, so we'll be checking that out in late November as well. So that is all for this time. Like, subscribe, follow, leave us a comment. What's your favorite Fantastic Four figure, and what is your favorite Fantastic Four episode? And we'll see you guys next time.